Base is dropped on another week of soccer down here, and you know this is what happens. That's a Monday. That's a Monday kind of a thing where you're sitting there and you're looking at your sequence and you're going, I knew I forgot to do something, and I forgot to remember to pull the cover slide because that means that you can actually see me and Abe talking so the show can start on a Monday. Happy Monday. Welcome to Monday. That was a very Monday thing. So no dilly, no dally zone. Abe's joining us here before he heads up to training camp to go hang out with the Falcons. And we're going to bat lead off this way for the next couple of weeks because there's something called training camp and something called the National Football League. Abe, it just wasn't good enough yesterday.
No, and it's disappointing because it's an incredibly beatable team in Santos Laguna. I mean, I saw a couple of tweets that says Atlanta United got eliminated out of Leagues Cup yesterday by potentially the worst club in all of North America in terms of top flight soccer. And I'm not going to sit here and break down where they rank overall among the 47 teams or however many it was that took part in Leagues Cup. But I think you get the point. This was about as bad as it can be from a variety of ways. You start with what is Leagues Cup. It is an incredibly forgiving format where 2 out of every 3 teams in each group will advance. You were arguably the best team in your group. DC United is no big bad wolf out there, and then Santos as well. You benefited by having both of your matches at home. I mean, it was all lined up for you to, if not win your group, at least advance. And unfortunately, you can't do that. The games look differently. Obviously, a little bit of a battle back to get level with DC United. You lose the shootout. And just very listless. And you lose the shootout again yesterday and are eliminated. So just very disappointing. On the bright side, if there is one, you now have 3 weeks off to prepare for the last 9 games of the MLS season and a push for the playoffs. And do not get it twisted. As disappointed, as frustrated as fans might be, this is going to be a push for the playoffs. I mean, they are right where they need to be. They are hopefully going to have some additional firepower when they do get to that game. And right now it's scheduled for August 24th against the LA Galaxy. I know depending on how Leagues Cup plays out for them, that date could change. That game could move. But look, you got 3 weeks. You're hopefully bringing in Alexi Moranchuk to be available by then and see what happens because you got 9 games to solidify your playoff spot. And look, just like any sport, man, once you get in there, anything can happen. You push the eventual champions to that third and deciding game last year in that first series with Columbus. So just get in and see what happens, and then we'll also see how the rest of the transfer window looks.
And at the same time, I think that yesterday, as the way that it goes after every match, but it's a little different in a Leagues Cup format. You get mixed zone instead of locker room, and I think that one of the telling interviews from yesterday was Dax McCarty.
Yeah.
And Dax was not holding back. He never has been, first and foremost. But to hear Dax McCarty's frustration, it's a frustration inside of a locker room. It's a frustration that we've seen when Atlanta United released the video late in the Gonzalo Pineda administration where you got to see inside the locker room after Cincinnati. But Dax is also coming from the perspective of a longtime MLS veteran whose participation clock is winding down. And he came here sensing an opportunity, and that opportunity has not been there for him this year so far. So Dax was he flat out just was not happy and let everybody know about it yesterday.
Yeah, well, a couple of things. It's good that he's upset and frustrated and wants to attack this head on. I'd be a lot more concerned if it was, ho-hum, another loss. What will we do now? I want to see him fired up. And I think you could it came out a little differently, but I think you could sense that from Rob Valentino in his post-match presser. There was a lot of, all right, man, like that's in the past. We are moving on. That was a blank show, and it is time to focus on. And he was all about business. And there's no looking at what we did wrong, what we should have done differently. He's like, all right, we got to get it corrected. We got to get it corrected now because we need to do something in these last 9 games. And again, that's the right mindset to me. You're not going to sit and cry over the spilled milk of an embarrassing performance over Leagues Cup, but what you can do is say, hey, we've beat Miami on the road. We beat Columbus here at home. Our first match potentially is going to be against the LA Galaxy, who's one of the best teams in the MLS. Let's go show them. You want to start these 9-game MLS run into the playoffs the right way? Start it with doing that. And look, there's been 2 times where I've looked at the schedule and said, I don't expect any results out of Atlanta United today. Those 2 times they've gotten results. And so, Mike Conley and Jason Longshore summed it up quite well yesterday. There's this incredible ability to play up to the level of your opponent, but unfortunately, there's also the side where you're playing down to the level of your opponent, and you've got to figure it out. There is a best of Atlanta United. You have to figure out how to bring out the best more often, right? We've seen it. We've seen it from time to time, but we have also seen the worst of Atlanta United equally as much. And I think that's what Rob Valentino's task is. And look, I know there's this open job sitting there. If Rob Valentino wants to snag this job over these last 9 games, the task for him is find out how to get United to bring out their best more often and keep that worst somewhere else. That has not been the case. It's been so off and on. They have got to find more consistency. You hoping Alexei Miranchuk can bring you that. Last night was another example of the left side just giving you nothing. And we've been dealing with this, John, the entire season. They've tried everything. They put Caleb Wiley up there for a match. They moved Thiago Almada out there for a match. They switched Saba to the left side to see if that would jumpstart it. We've seen pretty much everything. They've got to get more from that position specifically. We'll see if maybe that's where Garth Lagerwey heads if an additional player is added in a transfer window. But, yeah, you want to see guys like Dax McCarty upset. You need to see the leaders of this team upset. Again, I would be much more troubled if the mindset was out of Leagues Cup, 3 weeks off, let's go party.
Yeah.
That's what they were showcasing last night. And if nothing else, I know some of the fans maybe have checked out on the season. The players have not. I think we've seen that all the way through.
And I think that that's an important thing to look at here is that you mentioned that the players have not checked out. And you could tell if the players have checked out in a situation. And what we've been able to look at with Atlanta United this season is opportunities for the younger players, the ones that are coming up from the 2s. And Matthew Edwards got the chance because we know that Pedro Amador is still getting 90 minutes fit. And over there to help out on the left-hand side, Matthew Edwards getting key minutes in a match that is an elimination game. So Matthew Edwards gets 20 minutes. Jay Fortune continues to get starts there in the midfield. So you're seeing the younger players that are part of the future for Atlanta United getting those minutes in these matches to show, hey, I'm worthy of what you're giving me here Monday through Friday. You're getting that on a Sunday afternoon. And so there are other elements of this that are hopefully adding to the future for Atlanta United, not just purchasing folks.
Well, and I feel like this happens every offseason. Like we come back for the first game and I'm like, man, how many new players do they have? Like it always feels like it's not that much turnover. But then you look at the roster and you're like, oh, they have like 5 new starters this year. That's like half the team almost. And look, we may see that again next year. It might be, though, with some of the young players that you're talking about. It might be sending some guys out, bringing a couple guys in, but it might not be, to use a baseball term, calling guys up as the other aspect of this. And yeah, look, Jay Fortune has done everything you've asked for him because, and Rob Valentino mentioned this yesterday, you've not asked Jay Fortune to be Thiago Almada. You need the best version of Jay Fortune, and I think he's coming pretty darn close to that right now. And you got a couple of young guys you need to ask a little more from. We talk about issues on the left side. All right, so what can Luke Brennan give you, right? That's the first name that comes to mind, and we see all the flash and the danger, but the scoring opportunities, the chances haven't exactly matched some of the highlights. And so he needs to be better there. If he is, I think he starts to get some play time. Same thing from a recovering Tyler Wolf, who has put in some good work with the twos as he works his way back. But Matt Edwards was the one guy I was interested because, as you mentioned, we were pretty sure Pedro Amador was getting the start due to the Ronald Hernandez injury, which is a horribly unfortunate, especially with the form that he had come to see in the past couple of weeks. But that's part of the game. Injuries happen. Pedro Amador, look, a little bit of luck on this one, right? Because you pulled Pedro Amador into this club assuming you were going to lose Caleb Wiley. And the timing just happened to be there where you had him, you had the depth there. And then when Hernandez goes down, you had a plan in place. But you did know, as you mentioned, not going to be 90 minutes fit there. And so the question was, are you going to, slide Luis Abram out wide and maybe bring Derek Williams off the bench late, something like that? Or are you going to use, you could take a chance with Mosquera back there, but we kind of didn't really want to go there if we didn't have to. But the other option was Matt Edwards. And so it was nice to see him not just get the call, but like be relied upon, like have a role. They talked about it going into this game. I'm sure they discussed, hey, Matt, Pedro's not going to play all 90. We're going to need you. Count on it. And he was ready and he came in and you didn't really notice any drop off, any difference. So it is nice to see them. He's one of the guys I'd look forward to seeing a lot more of next season, if not here and there the rest of the season.
All right. So you're heading to Falcons training camp. What are you looking forward to seeing?
Just no injuries. Like that's honestly, that's the biggest thing right now. They're heading to Miami for joint practices. They're not going to show you too much in practice, but there's a little bit of here and there, a couple small position battles, a quarterback zip, stuff like that. Nothing crazy, but they have been incredibly lucky with injury so far. They got a couple guys coming off of injury, but you look around to the other 31 teams in training camp right now. They got carts rolling back and forth every single day. We have not seen one for Atlanta, the Falcons, and I am just hoping that it can stay that way because it has the potential this year to be a very special season.
All right, looking forward to it. Just be safe getting up to the branch. Stay as hydrated as possible. Stay covered, and we'll catch up with you next time, my friend. Thanks for dropping by.
You got it, John. We'll see you next week.